Good morning, family. This is Ricky, and welcome to Hope for Today. Happy Monday, everybody. Brand new week. Get out the bed, act like a thing is so, even though it ain't so, in order that it might be so, because God said so. It's a brand new week, and it's Halloween too. So I'm probably gonna be taking the kids out, and I think Grand is gonna be a ninja. I think Cam's trying to be what is he trying to be? It's something called a Paw Patrol puppy or something like that. I don't know. And then Andy Girl's gonna be a princess, but it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna be a black guy from Mississippi. That's how I'm dressing up. Anyways, happy Halloween. We're in 2 Timothy chapter 2, and we're right here in verse 5, where the Apostle Paul is writing to Timothy. And remember, he's talking about how we ought to show up for the gospel. Right? I wrote a paper on 2 Timothy 2 when I was doing my PhD seminars, and these metaphors that Paul was giving, soldier and athlete and farmer, and then later on is good and bad vessels and all this kind of stuff. And I remember writing in my paper, it's a 44-page paper, Paul is equipping his son in the faith with simulacrums of his own Christian pursuit of the gospel. No, I don't know what that means either. But here he's talking about being a soldier. And now verse 5, he says, an athlete is not crowned unless he competes according to the rules. An athlete is not crowned unless he competes according to the rules. He's basically saying that as a Christian, we have responsibilities to do God's work God's way. That the last thing we need in Christendom and in the pursuit of our faith is you and I making up our own paths to kingdom success, but rather following God's prescribed paths for kingdom success. He says an athlete is not crowned unless he competes according to the rules. Paul would have had in his mind something in his region of the world called the Isthmian Games. The Isthmian Games. You've heard of Olympic Games. Paul understood the Isthmian Games. And the Greeks and the Romans were pretty serious about competition, so much so that they required an athlete, before being licensed to compete, to undergo rigorous training for months and months on end. You see, when they filled up the Colosseums those days, they wanted to be absolutely certain that the competitions they were seeing were being performed by the absolute best in shape, most rigorously prepared athletes that they could watch. The whole idea is that they wanted someone who had followed the rules, because they knew that whatever they were going to see was going to be their best. And God's saying the same thing to us, that as God calls us to be salt and light and work as unto the Lord in our jobs, follow the rules. As God calls us to be faithful to our spouse, follow the rules. As God calls us to be godly parents, follow the rules. As God calls us to be able stewards of our money, follow the rules. As God calls us to be salt and light and make disciples, follow the rules. Translation, there's no shortcut to the kingdom. There ain't no shortcut to the kingdom. You gotta follow the rules in order to be crowned. I know many times in my life, I'm trying to find the shortest route. But the shortest route, Paul is saying, is not always the safest route. And if it takes longer for you to be stronger, still do that thing God's way. No shortcuts in the kingdom. Let God bless you God's way. That's hope for today. I'll see you next time.